are going to be learning about quadratic versus linear functions.
Let's start off with linear functions. A linear function when graphed is a straight line and can only be a straight line. Linear functions can be written in the form f of x equals ax plus b. F of x is also considered y, so some of you might know this also as the form of y equals mx plus b. Ax or mx is the slope and b is the y-intercept. But we write it in this form to show that it is a function. X in a linear equation always has to be x to the power 1. It can't be any more or else it's no longer a linear function, so it'll be a quadratic.
The way we start graphing a linear function is we first find the y-intercept. In this case, it is 3. And then we find the slope. The slope is equal to rise over run. In this case, the slope would be 2 over 1 because we have 2x, and x is just equal to 1 in this case. We're doing the rise over run. This 2 over 1 would equal that it would go up 2 spaces and over 1 space, and then up 2 spaces again and over 1, and that would continue until the end of the graph. For this equation, this is what the graph would look like. Here we have our y-intercept of 3, and we go over 1 space and up 2, over 1 space and up 2, and it continues like that, and then we would draw a straight line through it.
To see if your slope's negative or positive, we have to see the first of your slope variable. So it'll be here. And since it's -3, that means our slope is negative. And we know it's a negative line because let's say our stick man's walking and he hits his head on the line. That means it's negative. But if the stick man walks and he can just walk up the slope, that means it's positive.
Alright, now let's look at quadratic functions. A quadratic function when graphed is a curved line called a parabola. That will either look like this or like this. If it looks like this, it's positive because it opens up. However, if it looks like this, it's negative because it opens downwards. Then a quadratic function always has to be to the power of 2. It can't be any more or less, otherwise it's no longer a quadratic function. So if we had x to the power of 1, it would not be a quadratic, it would be linear. And if we had x to the power of 3, it would not be quadratic either because it's not to the power of 2. When graphing a quadratic function, you must use the form y equals a x minus p all squared plus q. If you are given an equation in the form f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, also known as general form, you must change it to this form. You do this by completing the square. In this vertex form, a is the shape, so whether it opens up or down. P and Q are the vertex of the parabola, so the highest or lowest points on a parabola. Either here or here. But P will be the opposite value when taken out of the brackets for the vertex. So if P is negative in the brackets, it will become positive, and if it's positive in the brackets, it will become negative. P by itself is the horizontal translation, so left to right, as well as the axis of symmetry, which is an imaginary line that divides the parabola in 2 equal halves at the vertex. And Q by itself is the vertical translation, so up or down. Now we're going to graph a quadratic function. General form is y equals x squared in simplest form, which translates to y equals x minus 1 all squared, and it will look like this. First, we start off by finding our vertex, and we see we have 1, but we don't have anything here, which just equals 0. And when we know when we take it out of the brackets, it becomes positive. So our vertex is 1 and 0, which is graphed here. And then we use our standard slope formation for parabolas, which is over 1, over 1, up 3, and so on as we have here. And then we do the exact same thing to the other side. And then we draw the line. When we look at this equation, we notice that our a value is no longer 1, it is value of 2, which means we multiply our standard parabola formation by 2. So we multiply 1 by 2, which is 2, and so on. And this is how much the graph will move up by. However, it always moves over 1.
Alright, and to sum things up, we always have to remember for linear, x is going to be the power of 1, and it's going to be always a straight line, and this is our final equation. And for the quadratic, x is always going to be to the power of 2, it's going to be a parabola, and this is our final equation as well. Alright, so I hope you guys have a better understanding now.
Thanks for watching.